Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. We start our second presentation on obstructive jaundice, and I will display the same scenario which I have displayed in the part 1, and that is a 75 years old male presented with history of yellow discoloration of the sclera for last 3 months. There is history of anorexia and appreciable weight loss. On examination, the pulse is 88 beats per minute, blood pressure is 160 by 90. There is deep jaundice, abdomen has got a painless globular mass in the right hypochondrium. What is your most probable diagnosis, and how will you investigate your case? How will you prepare this case preoperatively, and what is your treatment plan till now? We have discussed the history in these cases, and if you come to the details, or if you analyze this scenario, first note the age of the patient, 75 years old. So in elderly, the risk of malignancy is more than in the younger patients. History of yellowish discoloration of the sclera for last 3 months. This means short duration, and this means and it again goes in favor of a malignant process. There is history of anorexia and appreciable weight loss. Again, features go in favor of a malignant process. And now we move on to our next slide. On examination, what you will examine in these cases: first, is there is yellowish discoloration of the skin, sclera, undersurface of the tongue, depending upon the depth of the jaundice. Normally, these patients they complain of pruritus, and this pruritus is so severe that you can see actually the scratch marks on their skin. And because of repeated pruritus and repeatedly scratching their skin, their nails become polished and shiny. A very important feature which signifies malignancy is the presence of enlarged left supraclavicular lymph nodes, which are called as Virchow's nodes. And when these lymph nodes are enlarged in isolation, this sign is called as Trozius sign. Trozius sign. This is a very important feature, and whenever this sign is present, one must consider some intra-abdominal malignancy. Abdominal examination: look for any epigastric mass or mass in the right hypochondrium. A mass in epigastrium may be a palpable pancreatic tumor. And remember one thing: when a pancreatic tumor becomes palpable on abdominal examination, it might be in an advanced stage. Mass in the right hypochondrium may be because of metastatic deposits in the liver, or it might be a palpable gallbladder. When does a gallbladder become palpable? That is shown by Courvoisier's law. And what is Courvoisier's law? According to Courvoisier's law, in a jaundice patient, a palpable non-tender gallbladder is not due to stones. Please remember this law. According to Courvoisier's law, in a jaundice patient, a palpable non-tender gallbladder is not due to stones. Is not due to stones. The law finishes here. There is no further statement in this law. And within last few years, the Courvoisier's law is now called as Courvoisier's sign, because there are certain there are certain exceptions to this law. So rather than calling it a law, now the term has changed to Courvoisier's sign. Further abdominal examination to elicit any ascites. And if an ascites is present in a patient in which the history and clinical examination suggests malignancy, mostly the cause of this ascites is intraperitoneal malignant deposits leading to a malignant ascites. So in these cases, having ascites, always think of some underlying malignancy. Systemic examination is very important in these cases, and the main purpose is to rule out distal metastasis. You have to examine the chest, you have to auscultate the chest to rule out any abnormal sounds in both the lungs, and to rule out any malignancy which has metastasized to the chest and lungs. Another site which you look for is the bones, and a patient who is having bony mets will complain of pain in that typical bone having the mets, and sometimes you may find some abnormal swelling of the bone in that area of metastasis. So this is the systemic examination to rule out any distant metastasis in these cases. Till now, you need to answer the following questions before we move further to our third part of presentation. And what are these questions to be asked? You have to look for the answer to following these two questions. Number one, what is the clinical significance of enlarged Virchow's nodes? What is the clinical significance of enlarged Virchow's nodes? Number two, what are the exceptions to Courvoisier's law? I intentionally did not tell you these exceptions, so kindly go through the literature, search the net, find out these exceptions so that you should remember these things. So this comes to end of our second presentation. Thank you very much. We'll move on to our next third part of our presentation on obstructive jaundice. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.